Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. My name's Shane and this is Nomadic Crafts. Today we are going to make this dot mandala stone, and these are the tools you'll need. Stone from your garden or the beach, or you can also buy plaster of Paris stones which give you a nice smooth surface. You'll need some acrylic paint in different colours, something to mix the paint in. You can use a saucer if you haven't got a paint palette, and also a mixing medium which thins the paint out and makes the dots stay in a nice circular shape. And then you need the tools to actually make the dots. So you can buy these acrylic rods, mine are well used, and they're all different sizes. For your smaller dots, you can use these metal tipped tools. I've bent the ends of mine as I find it easier to see where the placement is going to end up in the pattern. You can use things around the home to make the dots. I've got paintbrushes here, pens, pencils, and as you can see they're all different sizes too. They'd work just as well. A Q-tip is a good idea to have nearby just to remove any errors, and a toothpick is handy to mix the paint with the medium. So let's get on with it. I use acrylic paints to do my dotting with, but they tend to be quite thick, so we need to use a medium to thin the paint out. So this is the one I use, Liquid X, and I've decanted it into an easy pump just to make it more controllable. So let's squeeze. Now you only need a little bit of acrylic paint. You can always make up more if you need to later. So as you can see, the paint's quite thick, and when you pull it away, the peak holds its form, and we need to get it thinner so that the peak disappears back into your dot. So that's one squirt of the thinner. So we'll mix that in. Toothpicks are quite handy to have when you're doing dotting. You can use them for all sorts of things. That, so that's still holding its form, so we'll do another squirt. Mixing. Try that again. So you can see now that disappears back into the main body, and that's the consistency we want to try and get. So I'm going to do the rest of the colours now, and I'll be back shortly. So now I have all my colours mixed up. Pop them over to one side, and here's my stone. So now this is a plaster of Paris stone that I've painted with black acrylic. You can obviously use normal stones that you can find on the beach or in the garden. These are lightweight, and they're just really nice smooth surfaces, so nice to work on. So, okay, we're ready to start dotting. So I've got all my tools next to me here. So I've got my smaller rods, and I've got my metal tipped dotting tools, and I've bent these as I find them easier to place in position. It gives me a little better view of the stone. So I'm going to start with the biggest dot first for the middle. Now I'm just kind of going by eye on this one. I haven't got a pattern or anything in mind. It's just a free design, and we're going to see how it goes. So just a rough central dot in the middle. as you can see, that peak has disappeared back into the main body of the dot, which is what we want. So I've got some tissue here, which I use just to wipe the ends of the dots away with. I'm quite prepared for that one, but there we go. Okay. So we're now going to go for some smaller dots, and the next colour, which is a nice bright orange. So we just place one, and then we place one on the opposite side. And then we do one there and then one here. So that helps us kind of keep things central. Just going to put one in the middle all the way around. I shouldn't worry too much if you don't feel it's completely even, because as we build the dots up, it kind of doesn't really matter too much. Now I don't know if you can see, but that one's bled into here a little bit. So what I'm going to use is a Q-tip, which is always really handy to have. Just going to remove that orange. There we go. So I think we just need to pop another one in there, not too close this time. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go smaller again with the yellow. We're going to put a dot in between the gaps. So again, we're going to go to opposites. Work our way around. So I've got my stone on a little mini Lazy Susan style table, which I think people buy usually for doing cakes, it works really well for this too. And I'm just going round, putting dots in between the gaps. So, okay. So I'm going to go a bit bigger on the next one, on the greens. And I don't know if you can see, there's just a slight little dip with the yellow design. So we're going to pop the green in the dip. Before I got my Lazy Susan, I just used to cut a bit of cardboard out and put that under the stone and then use that to move my stone around, which worked quite well. There we go. Okay, so going for a fairly large metal tip there, we're going to go with the blue. Place of blue in between the greens. Using the same tool on the other end, which is a smaller size. I'm going to put a blue just a little bit lower down. And I can see that's bled a little bit there again. But never mind, I'll leave that to be for now. Okay, so we're going back to a rod for our purples, my favourite colour. And we're going to put a purple on top of the blue. There are some colours that stand up a little bit better. Yellow tends to be one that can be quite tricky, but you can always go back over and redot once they're dry. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to do something called walking the dots, which takes a little bit of practice, and I'd practice just on a bit of card or a bit of paper first. I'm going to go in with our pink. First of all, we're just going to put one dot following the line from the middle above the purple. Load up our ink, our paint run, and then we put another dot to the side, and then we just walk that all the way down to the blue. I think these are so pretty once you get the hang of them, they're really worth practicing. So I've used all the colours in my palette so far, so now we get to duplicate them. So we're going to go back to the red, and I'm using the same size dotting tool. I think I'm going to do the walking the dots again. So we'll start off as we did before, just with a dot following that line out. I love doing these stones. I've dropped them off at beaches and in the woods and just left little messages on them just for someone to find. I've given them as gifts as well, which is quite nice to do. Just love the colours. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we get to do 6 dots all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. back to the orange. So I'm going for my smallest rod now. Just need to mix that paint up. It's just separated a little bit from the thinning medium, so that's quite normal if that happens to you. Okay, so we're going to do a nice big orange dot right in the middle here. It does take a bit of practice to get a fairly steady hand, but it really doesn't take that long. It's quite a calm, meditative craft to do. You always come out with something that looks really good. There's no right or wrong really. Just let your imagination run wild. So we've got a little bit of a gap in between the reds, but something you need to just be careful of is as you go around, like I said, sometimes you don't get the gaps always even, so it's quite narrow here and the gaps are kind of bigger on this side, so I'm going to go in with quite a small dot just to make sure there's space. Just pop it in there. So I'm going over the dot once more, and walking the dot down in a straight line this time. Okay, so that's quite a nice round shape there. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and then we're going to come back and we'll do our second layer. So we've left this to dry for a little while now, and while that was drying I did just put over a damp tissue just to stop the paint drying out, so that's all ready to go. So you can obviously leave it like this, it looks pretty as it is, but we're going to have a look at what happens when you start to layer it up. Okay, so I'm going straight in with the bright yellow into the middle. And put a nice little ball in there. That's got a bit of a peak on it there, but that's okay, it just gives you another effect, so we'll leave that, see what it looks like at the end. Like I said, there's no right or wrong with this, you can just do whatever you like. So on the green, I'm going to go in with the pink. They might have dried out just a little bit, which is why the peak's staying there. I quite like it. It's also quite tactile when it dries. Smaller dot and go on the inside oranges, and I think blue. I love this blue, it's very cute. So you put the dots right in the middle, which is what I tend to do, but you can also place the dots at the bottom, kind of build up the layers with the dot at the bottom. gives a different effect. Feeling a red on the purple. There's dots in the middle here. So you just want to start from the middle and work out so you don't peel or smudge on the dots you've just done. And that's what your Q-tips are for if you do make a mistake. You just wipe it off. Orange, we're going to go green. You can use a colour wheel if you have trouble deciding what colour to go on. Base colour, use that as a bit of a guide. Okay, so there we go. So let's just show you those. So that's with 2 layers, which is looking really good. So we need to let those dry again and then come back and put our 3rd layer on. So layer 2 is now dry, so we're going to go on with our 3rd layer. Seal. Choosing my weapon. So in the middle, I'm going to go pink. Now if you remember last time we had the peaks in the dots, but you can see they've all kind of sunk down now, so that's worked out quite well. And then on top of the pink we're going to have yellow. What should we do on top of the red? I think we will have. Let's have green, just a little dot. Okay, so we'll let that last layer dry and we'll give it a spray with a clear varnish and then it will be finished. Thanks for following along. If you'd like to buy a beginner's kit, you can get one from our website nomadiccrafts.co.uk, and once you've designed your stone, I'd love to see them, so please tag me in any Instagram photos you take at nomadic.crafts. Hope to see you again soon. Bye!